The IDF launched Operation Shield and Arrow last night, already taking out 3 senior terrorist leaders in the Gaza Strip and demolishing 10 Palestinian Islamic Jihad weapons depots and terrorist hubs. More than 1 million Christians all over the world are fasting and praying for Israel for the next 3 weeks. And on today's program, we have an award for the Anti-Semite of the Week. I'm Luke, and this is the Israel Guys. Hello and welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of anti-Israel propaganda, Jew hatred, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Guys, you may have heard already, but there's breaking news. Literally woke up this morning to the fact that the IDF has launched Operation Shield and Arrow. Not only that, but they are prepared to keep this operation running for as long as they need to eliminate threats to the land and people of Israel and to take care of business. Evidently, Israel is sick and tired of being killed and attacked by their enemies, and specifically this operation is in response to the dozens of rockets that have been shot at Israel over the last several weeks. So, last night, launched Operation Shield and Arrow. We'll get into the IDF spokesman's response to that. Also, we're going to talk about millions, and that is a literal number, not made up, not a guess, literal number, millions of Christians fasting and praying for Israel over the next couple of weeks. And Rashida Tlaib has herself in the middle of it. Again, we're talking about Nakba Day, the catastrophe of when Israel was founded. So, last night, the IDF struck 3 different terrorist leaders. And when I mean struck, we're talking about the Israeli Air Force pinpointing 3 senior terrorist leaders in the Gaza Strip. And when they pinpoint targets, they have the ability to very precisely take out exactly who they need to take out without injuring or harming or killing very many civilians. And the reason why the reason why it's difficult many times to capture or neutralize terrorist leaders, especially in the Gaza Strip, is because they typically hide either out in the public eye or amongst crowds of people or in hospitals, schools, things like that. They make it very difficult for the IDF to take them out without harming innocent civilians. But last night, the IDF was able to get 3 terrorist leaders. We're talking about. I'm just going to tell you who they are because this is why it's so important that the IDF and Israel actually took them out. So you have Fatah, which is a terrorist organization in Judea and Samaria. They are controlling the Palestinian Authority government, right? Fatah. Then you have Hamas. Most of you have heard of Hamas. They are in charge. They took over the Gaza Strip right after Israel gave it back in 2005. They're the infamous terrorist organization here, right? But then you have another organization that you may not hear about as much, but that is Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and that is primarily who the IDF is targeting right now. One of the terrorists killed was Khalil Bahitini, commander of Palestinian Islamic Jihad's northern Gaza divisions. He has been a terrorist for a long time, decades. He's made it his career, actually, since the 1990s. He was responsible for multiple terrorist attacks against Israel, including suicide bombings, attacks in Judea and Samaria, shooting rockets at Israel. The list goes on and on. So Israel got him. He is no more. And he was commander of their northern division in Gaza. You have Tariq al-Din, who directed Islamic Jihad operations in Judea and Samaria from the Gaza Strip. He was taken out. He was a senior commander and responsible for also transferring money, terrorist money, from Gaza to Judea and Samaria for terrorist activities. Where do you think that money comes from, by the way? Probably partly from your own pockets, depending on where you live in the world. Thankfully, he was taken out. Jahed Achnam, Secretary of Cooperation for Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza. He was the most senior terrorist from PIJ who was taken out by Israel. He also coordinated weapons and money transfers between Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. So, evidently, they do coordinate together when they want to, as long as it involves attacking Israel or attempting to kill Jews. And he was also a promoter of terrorism in Judea and Samaria and Gaza and around the world, because this is like a marketing business for them. They don't just they don't just try to commit acts of terror. They also promote it do lots of PR and marketing and advertising to other people all over the world. So a top promoter of terrorism, not only in Israel, but also all over the world, has thankfully been neutralized and taken out by Israel. So world, please say thank you, Israel, for actually helping to keep the world safe and make your neighborhood, your backyard, a better and safer place. So Operation Shield and Arrow, the IDF last night instructed any Israeli residents within 25 miles of Gaza to stay near bomb shelters, obviously with the concern that there could be immediate retaliation from the Gaza Strip. At the recording of this show, there has not been retaliation, or there haven't been rockets shot from Gaza in retaliation that we know of. By the time you're watching this, there may have been. So they're preparing for possible retaliation. But with this operation, they're prepared to take care of any threats. So regarding their strikes in Gaza, IDF spokesperson Brigadier General Daniel Hagar said, quote, "Those who endanger Israeli lives and those who work tirelessly to harm Israel's security will not remain unharmed. At this stage, we achieved our objective. We hit what was needed. If necessary, we will ramp up the attacks. We're prepared for any scenario." He also said that this operation, Shield and Arrow, does not have a definitive time for like when it is going to end, and they are prepared to take whatever action is necessary to deal with enemy threats. Over the last month, there were 44 rockets and projectiles shot at Israel from Gaza. And there were 34 rockets shot at Israel from Lebanon. Hamas claimed those rockets. So part of this Operation Shield and Arrow is in retaliation to the attacks that Israel has been experiencing over the last month and taking out senior leaders, and also not just leaders and terrorists, but taking out weapons infrastructure, weapons depots. They actually took out a facility that was manufacturing concrete to build tunnels into Israel to sneak terrorists into Israel and commit terrorist attacks. So thankfully that will stop a lot of these things. And, here in the Middle East, enemies respect strength, not weakness. So when Israel takes out leaders, yes, there might be some short-term retaliation, but rest assured, Israel will get the job done, and it'll be a much safer place here because of it. And as I mentioned, also a safer place for your backyard. Guys, here at the Israel Guys, we're trying to overtake mainstream media that is anti-Israel and full of propaganda and lies and fake news about Israel. So, best way you can help us is hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave us a comment down below if you're a new viewer so that we can know who you are. We always love to see new viewers down in the comment section. If you're listening, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, give us a follow, give us a rating. It really helps us out. And if you want to support the Israel Guys, you can go to theisraelguys.com/donate. We'll put a link down below. As always, we never charge for our content because we want to keep it free and reaching as many people as possible, but it is made possible by the people that choose to support our work. So theisraelguys.com/donate if you want to support our work, but just go ahead and subscribe, guys, so we can overtake people like Al Jazeera who are just spewing anti-Israel rhetoric and propaganda and fake news on a daily basis. So before we get to our Anti-Semite of the week in a second, I want to tell you something that's a little different from our normal content, but it's a very exciting, it's an exciting event that's happening right now. It started 2 days ago, and it involves Christians all over the world who are praying for Israel. Now, if you're a Jewish person watching this, if you're an Israeli watching this, this might be a little scary at first, but I want to explain this and tell you why we here at the Israel Guys and Hayovel, our organization here in Israel, we view this as a very good thing. So there's something called the Isaiah 62 Fast. You can actually go to Isaiah62fast.com, and they called for people all over the world to sign up and actually commit to fasting and praying for Israel from May 7th through 28th. Okay, so this started 2 days ago, and I believe there's like 5 million Christians who actually signed up to fast and pray for Israel for this 3-week period. It was started. Oh, and then the really exciting thing is May 7th through 28th, there's these several million Christians who are fasting and praying for Israel. And on May 28th, there are prayer networks and worship houses all over the world that represent 130 million people. And they're all going to be praying for Israel on May 28th, all at the same time. So There's a lot of different organizations involved. The May 28th, that represents more than 100 million people, is some other organizations that kind of started that, different people working together. But the 3-week fasting and praying for Israel period that's going on right now was spearheaded by Mike Bickle from the International House of Prayer in Kansas City, Missouri. Now, before I tell you what everyone's fasting and praying about, the big question, especially if you're part of our Jewish audience or audience here in Israel, is what are these people praying for, and are they praying for the Jewish people to be converted to Christianity? Now, the interesting thing about this event, if you will, this 3-week period, is that it doesn't represent one specific organization. So even though it's spearheaded by IHOP, International House of Prayer, it's people all over the world joining in and partnering. So, and they're very clear, they don't represent any theological position or any doctrine or any sect of Christianity or denomination, if you will. So that being said, the answer to your question, if people are praying for Jews to be converted to Christianity, is probably yes. There are some people praying for that. But the main directives that are being given by the people that are trying to direct the prayer and fasting for this movement, of which amazingly the leadership at our organization has been involved in providing direction for this movement, has been to provide that direction in a really good way. And I'll tell you what they are trying to get people to pray for Israel for. The main thing is that to get people to pray for Israel, that God's promises will be enacted and confirmed in the land of Israel and for the people of Israel. We're talking about the prophecies about Israel. We're talking about prophecies and God's promises for Jerusalem, the promise given to Abraham, that God's covenant with the land and the people of Israel. These are the main things that they're praying for. People are praying for the peace of Jerusalem. They're praying for Israel's safety. They're praying that prophecy will come to pass here. They're praying for the land and people of Israel to stay strong, praying for unity. We're praying for Jewish sovereignty on the Temple Mount. So the theme verse, obviously it's called the Isaiah 62 fast. The theme verse is Isaiah 62. On your walls, O Jerusalem, I have appointed watchmen all day and all night. They will never keep silent. You who remind the Lord, take no rest for yourselves and give him no rest until he makes Jerusalem a praise in the earth. So people are literally praying that watchmen will be raised up all over the world who will never hold their peace until Jerusalem is a praise in all the earth, until Zion and Israel and is a shining light that goes out all over the world. So to be clear, our organization, Hayovel, the Israel Guides, we still have a 100% stance, a very firm policy against missionary activity in the land of Israel in any form against and towards the Jewish people. We have a very hard line. We've had that for years, and most of you guys probably know that already. We've taken very public stances. We are very firm in confirming and standing with the Jewish people in their God-given identity, and not changing or trying to change the Jewish people's identity. So I just want to make sure that's really clear right now. But we feel that this 21-day period of fasting and praying for Israel is a very good thing, because it's an opportunity for Bible believers all over the world to wake up to what is happening in the land of Israel and to begin praying and caring and supporting the land and the people of Israel. And that's what we're doing here. We're doing our part. And if you want to know, and I just want to say too, like, we're seeing it happening, and it's actually millions of people. It's not just a number that represent, online platforms or email lists. It's actually millions of people who are praying and fasting for Israel right now. And that means they're waking up to the importance of Israel and what is happening here, and just the incredible things that God's doing here. And they're waking up to Christian support for Israel, Christian Zionism, if you will. So if you want to participate, it started 2 days ago. It's going strong already. We'll put some links down below. You can check out Isaiah62fast.com. We have a hub on our website. And basically, you just, if you have a hub or want to start a hub in your area, but on a very basic personal level, you can just commit to fasting partially or more every day, whether it's 1 day a week, or whether it's a certain food or something that you can do, and then just praying for a certain amount of time. If you can only pray for 5 minutes, that's something. If you can pray for an hour, 3 hours every day for the next 3 weeks, people all over the world are fasting and praying for Israel, and you can be a part, and we definitely invite you to be a part, to engage in supporting Israel with millions of Christians all over the world during the month of May. Okay, before we wrap up today's program, I have an anti-Semite of the week, which last week I actually have to apologize because I got my anti-Semite wrong. It was actually Rashida Tlaib, and I reported it as Ilhan Omar. That's on me because the news was confusing, and I didn't do enough research that I should have. Hopefully you caught that if you watched my show last week. But this week, Rashida Tlaib is in the news again. So last week and this week, she's just on a trend, on a roll of being the anti-Semite of the week. So there's an event being held at the Capitol Hill Visitor Center in Washington, D.C. to mark Israel's 75th anniversary. Yay, you might say. It's a good thing. No, it's not, because they are not marking Israel's anniversary. They're marking, well, they're marking it as Nakba Day. You know what Nakba means in Arabic? It means catastrophe. The event, they're having an actual event with a very official, I think you have to buy tickets or something. Thankfully, I only saw 11 followers on the Eventbrite, so I don't know what that means, but hopefully it means not very many people are going. But before I read you the description of the event, here's just a couple of organizations that are part of the organizers and sponsors for the event. The Institute for Middle East Understanding, Americans for Justice in Palestine Action, Project 48, don't know who they are, Democracy for the Arab World Now, U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights, and there's even more. If you want to click my source link down below, you can check it out for yourself. By the way, all these organizations have actually been banned from entering Israel. I assume because it's under Israeli law that Israel has laws that keep basically haters, I believe it's BDS supporters, from entering Israel. So all these organizations are banned, as well as our award-winning Representative Rashida Tlaib. She's also banned from entering Israel. And she is the special guest at this event. And I want to read, it was just too good, so I want to read the description of the event. 75 years ago, Zionist militias and the new Israeli military violently expelled approximately 3/4 of all Palestinians from their homes and homeland in what became the State of Israel. To uplift the experiences of Palestinians who underwent the Nakba and educate members of Congress and their staff about this history and the ongoing Nakba, to which Israel continues to subject Palestinians, we've partnered together to host this congressional and community educational event, to be followed immediately afterward by dinner. So if you want to go to the Nakba celebration at the Capitol Hill Visitor Center, just click the Eventbrite link down below. I'm just kidding. You should not go unless you're maybe exposing the lies that are happening there. All these organizations that are putting on the event and Rashida Tlaib, special guest of honor at this Nakba Day event, have all been banned from Israel. So if that doesn't tell you who they are, then I don't know what will. So I'd like to name Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib our anti-Semite of last week, anti-Semite of this week. If you want to spam the comments down below to tell her congratulations, feel free to do so. Sarcasm aside, guys, as we wrap up the show, I want to remind you to check out our upcoming volunteer programs in Israel. Some of them are actually almost full, but especially our special ops program for young people, which starts on June 13th. You can go to serveisrael.com, links down below. Make sure to subscribe, get that conversation going. Want to hear what you think in the comments section below. As always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We're here every Monday through Friday with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.